What I've got here is a 307 non-smoker with an original chassis. I haven't done anything to the engine shell or the chassis, any modifications whatsoever. I did get one of my old prototype fireboxes to fit it in to verify everything clears with the factory motor. As you can see, there's plenty of room, and there'll be plenty of room for the LEDs to fit in there as well. And they would wire right into the armature, so anytime the motor's on, the firebox would be on, and it would have this look. I'll flip it over in a minute, but that's what it would look like with the power panel up here. So you'd still have a pretty good view. And let's say this is an older model, gray, the others will all be black. And so that seems to work. And then I took out the headlight and I fitted the new fan-driven smoke housing, and it fits. Barely. I might want to do some tweaking. So what I thought I would do is show you, if you wanted to do this conversion. Hold on. Best way to do it, set it over there. Okay, there it is. To do this conversion, all of that was in here. This is the smoke generator area, and the heater would go on the lid. The fan creates the puff. Wires will be run back to a trigger. In this case, the simplest and easiest trigger is a magnet on one wheel of the tender that hits a reed switch approximately every fourth rotation, so that you would get a puff of smoke when the magnet hits the reed switch, and it's about every fourth. So every fourth movement you would get a chuff, 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 chuff coming out of this smokestack. Boom, like that. There'll be a lid on here, a tiny hole here for inlet and a tiny hole here for outlet, so the chuff would go in and come out. And the fan, the heater works the same. It would run back to voltage, and then the pulses would have to run back to the tender. So you'd have to add 2 more wires to the tender in order to get the pulse. I'm trying to come up with a mechanism to pulse it off of this gear, but not everybody has this gear exposed. Some of the chassis are enclosed, which is really tough to do. All the wiring that you need for your engine would still come up through the top. It would go through this notch that I've put into the firewall. All the firewalls would have this notch, and there is opportunity for a switch for a oops, sorry, I'm not in a view. Opportunity for a switch for on-off on the smoke power. So the smoke power would come through this switch and then go to the brush leads. That's how others are put together typically. If you want to run them to the tender and have a more powerful smoke, you can do that as well. So these would fit in that notch, and that housing fits something like that. And you would kind of assemble this on the bench, and then set up your shell, and then slide it in. I don't know that I'll be able to make smoke today, but I want to try. I won't have it on a tender. I'll just have it on a button or something that I can trigger. I tested the fan. The fan rotates beautifully. I need to build the lid and mount the heater coil and put some packing in there and put some smoke fluid in there, and I will try to do that today. It's only 3:15. Holy cow, I'm really cooking today. So there's where I'm at. On the Pacific, interestingly enough, it likes to have the motor there too, so it's going to be mounted in the same position, and the smoke is in the same position. So the relationship from that screw hole to the smoke outlet is the same on the Pacific and the Atlantic, and I'm going to guess it's going to be similar to the other engines because they're using the same smoke system, right? On the unit where this isn't completely flat right here, you could actually introduce smoke generator electronics if I can get a pulse out of this motor. If I convert this to a DC can, I might be able to put something on that shaft because it's more exposed in the can conversion, a gear or something that I can then gear to another track or something and create a pulse off of that. Otherwise, there's really not much I can do unless I try to put a magnet in like one of these wheels here and capture it down here. I've thought about doing it. I haven't done it yet, but I might try it. At any rate, this is where I'm at. I've printed this out. This is my 4th iteration. The first 2 designs were just going for fit. You saw the first one, it was like totally nuts, about the size of this can. So I was like, wow, got my unit screwed up. At any rate, but this is really the third, I would say meaningful one, and it's the second one that I've added a mount to try to mount the thing, not just put the fan and the motor together, but actually mount it. So I've increased the this bracket and then this flat mount with a slot so we can get a little adjustment in and out. I had trouble with this clearance. You got to have clearance because there's wires going to hang down there. I put some tape down to keep it insulated, and we're going to bring those wires up and back and either into electronics here or all the way back to the tender to get the pulse for that the fan to go voop, 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 like it does, or like it's supposed to. So what I'm going to do now is work on a lid and see if I can't make it smoke today manually. There. What do you think of that, folks?